Well, hello guys, and welcome back to another WandaVision review. In this episode, we're taking a look at the series finale. Not the season finale, the series finale. Because this is a limited series. Like, there's not going to be as much as I like this, there's not going to be a second season of WandaVision. This is just a one-off thing. And, I'd love a second season. I don't know how they would do it, obviously. But I would love a second season. But, I guess it's just not going to happen. Whatever. What we have here today, as we wrap things up on our final episode, is really good, actually. No, I know some people are statistically going to be disappointed because this is the internet, and the internet goes off into their crazy, weird fan theories. I mean, I had a few: Mephisto, Ultron, Quicksilver, X-Men Quicksilver, I guess. But none of those, nope. Nothing to do with Mephisto, nothing to do with Ultron, nothing to do with great, big, bad, evil, bad. No big cameo, because Paul Bettany was building up this big cameo, and you know what it turned out to be? Paul Bettany. He was working alongside himself, which was very obvious last week. I should say that. I and hopefully many other people took it that when Paul Bettany was building up, hey, there's someone special coming, and then we saw the White Vision last week, I was like, oh, he's talking about himself. I get it now. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other people who didn't take it that way. I mean, I was kind of thinking that maybe we'd get some Captain Marvel, Doctor Strange, end credit stinger thing, and we'll get to it. Yeah, I think this is a good episode. As I said last week, this show is about grief. It's always been about grief. Yeah, even from the very start, it's always been about grief. And I think it's done a good job at handling it. And here in this final episode, yeah, there is no big super evil thing. It's all grief. And I really like that. I think that was the right way to go. I think, well, yeah, they could have brought in, your Mephisto, Ultron bullshit, and that probably would have worked. And I know probably I don't know about the fan reaction for this. Admittedly, the episode's been out all day because I got delayed in doing this because the stream archive channel kind of imploded, or you know what I mean. I've spent all day re-uploading videos. Oh, God. I'm assuming that there are a bunch of people who are happy with this, that they're satisfied with this ending, because there were a lot of good things in this ending. But I also have to assume that there are people who had these crazy speculative fan theories, and nope, the villain was grief all along, and so they're going to be disappointed. But personally, I'm not, because I think the villain as grief was much better. Even the way they handled Agatha was better. So we pick up where we left off last time. The kids are being strangled out in the street. Wanda comes out, saves them. They run away. Vision shows up, but not before the White Vision shows up. And I like so I know, right? The White Vision is from the comics. That's all I knew. Since then, Comic Drake did put a video together. I'll link it there somewhere. I'll put it in a card. And yeah, he explained it, and we'll get back to that later, but I think it's interesting. And yeah, White Vision tries to kill Wanda. The real Vision comes in, and so now we've got two threats. We've got Agatha for Wanda and Vision for Vision. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And so let's focus on Agatha. So she and Wanda do their magic fight. I should say the CGI in this episode, I think, is fine. Marvel movies are hit and miss when it comes to things like these. There are some movies that I think do it really well, some movies that don't do it that great. Age of Ultron, which has a mix of both. Age of Ultron starts very bad, but I think as you get farther into the movie, it gets better. And this is still a TV show working on a limited budget, but it's clear this is still Disney, and they're going to put their all into this. And to that end, I think they did a good job. I think the CGI looks good. It's nothing amazing, but I think it looks good. right? Seeing the magic fight. I think the spells look better than them like flying around, right? And that goes for both Wanda and Visions. Them flying around it looks fine, but I think the magic looks a lot better. Like that's clear. A lot. I mean, it's not as bad as Wonder Woman 1984. I guess that's where I should put it. Is that because that flying in that looked terrible. So we're not that bad. We're not even close, actually, because that was really bad. But in this, it looks good. And the magic looks good. Yeah, Wanda and Agatha do their magic fight. And because while a lot of this episode is fighting, I'm also glad that a lot of it isn't. Because Agatha lures Wanda to the center of town, and like all the people are gathered there, and she starts like breaking the spells on them where they can like now express their like free thought and everything. And that's an amazing moment, right? All the town, like the Dottie, who's what her name was, like Sarah or something, her being like, hey, I have a kid, can you like, hey, I'll do play dates, right? Just put them in an episode. Like, I haven't seen my kid in who knows how long, right? Like this genuine worry. And then as the townspeople gang up on her and how much they hate her because she's keeping them trapped inside this prison. And it's a really good, really strong scene. And it does this better than any DC movie. Every fucking Zack Snyder bullshit DC movie is like, oh, look at the heroes. What if they're villains? What if the heroes are actually the bad guys? Because, we're going to have Batman kill people. Because that's totally Batman, right? Oh, yeah, by the way, we're probably going to do... Because since I'm doing WandaVision and I'm probably going to do Falcon and Winter Soldier, fuck it, we're going to do Justice League as well. It's going to be fucking hot garbage, but I'm here for that. I am here for that. But yeah, it's always like, oh, these struggles about like, oh, the heroes are villains and what's the line between hero-ny and villainy and all this fucking bullshit. Because the DC movies fucking suck. Okay, the Zack Snyder ones suck. Shazam is good. Birds of Prey is good. First Wonder Woman is good. Yeah, the first one's good. The second one's okay. Like the fourth best DC movie, but that's just because all the other ones are shit. Yeah, at least the Batman the Animated Series is on HBO. Okay, I'm getting off tangent. This scene right here with Wanda, where like she freaks out, she starts choking them all because she panics. It straddles that line between what is Wanda a hero, is Wanda a villain, because she's holding this town hostage, but she's still an Avenger. She's still a hero, right? And it's just because we saw this a few episodes ago as well. Well, I mean, this has kind of been brought up throughout the thing, like the Halloween episode with Quicksilver, 2 episodes ago with Monica, and it's like, you're a hero, right? You're not going to hurt me. So this has been a theme throughout the show because she is holding an entire town hostage, technically. And this really does pay all of that off. This is just the line between hero and villainy is something that Marvel does really well. Like, I think, I mean, I'm not just talking MCU, even though, like, I think something like Thor Ragnarok with the Hulk storyline about how the people of Earth hate Hulk, right? Like, that's a good example of it. But even the comics, is it called Planet Hulk? Oh, fuck, what's that comic? Is it called? The one where he goes to Sakaar. That does a really good job at showing like, hey, is Hulk a hero? Is Hulk a villain? What is the Hulk? And then the follow-up series, World War Hulk, also does a fantastic job at addressing that. Well, also kicking the crap out of Iron Man because Civil War, because fuck Civil War. So yeah, that's something Marvel's done good, and I think it does really good here. This scene with the villagers, Animal Crossing, the townspeople is just really good. It's one of those things that's been building up because we've seen like the breaks here and there, and to get the break here is just fantastic. Because she does eventually freak out and she starts lowering the town, but let's talk about the other two first. So I guess let's just talk about Monica right now. Monica does not do much in this episode. In fact, most of the like the entire right the sword squad, Wu, Darcy, and Monica don't really do much this episode. Wu does the most. He purposefully gets captured, steals a phone, and then calls Quantico on the agents. Basically, he gets Hayward in trouble. He exposes that Hayward is creating a new vision. That's what he exposes. Wu does the most in this episode. But all three, like, we've had this build up. Like, Darcy was like in the 2 episodes ago, she played comic relief off Vision. And in this episode, she drives a truck into Hayward, and that's it. She's in it for like 10 seconds. Monica's in it a little bit more, but she also doesn't do much either. We see in this scene, she's been captured by Pietro, the fake Quicksilver, who's holding her hostage inside the house while everyone else is out fighting. She eventually realizes that the fake Quicksilver is actually just some guy named, is it Ralph Boner? It's a fucking dick joke, which is actually really funny. I think it's good. I know there were a lot of speculation like, hey, what did Agatha pull the Quicksilver from the X-Men universe and bring it into this one? And no, it's just she basically moved into this guy's house and she gave him like a necklace, which I like how Monica can see the magic on the necklace, because, you know, she can see power now, like physical power, or you know what I mean. So she takes the necklace off and he like reverts to normal Boner. Ha ha ha. It's fine. But yeah, I know some people are probably going to be disappointed because they wanted the X-Men thing. And I know people are going to be I'm assuming, I don't know, that people are with the whole X-Men thing in general. Perfectly, I'm fine with it. I think it's fine. Yeah, Monica, I mean, I guess we'll get back to her when the kids show up, but she doesn't really do much this episode. Vision, on the other hand, is taking on the White Vision. And they have their punch out, right? They shoot laser beams at each other. It's all good fun, right? Same thing with because Wanda, right, after seeing all the villagers or the people and almost killing them, she freaks out and she starts lowering the border. This allows the government agents to come in, and Vision and the 2 kids start falling apart. And Agatha's like, hey, they're tied to this realm. You can't, if you get rid of the hex, they go with it because you tied their lives to it. And Agatha makes the like deal that, hey, if you let me help you, or if you give me your power, I will save your family, right? That I'll let you keep on living your perfect little life while I take your power. Because she explains that like the Scarlet Witch is like some entity of magic that's been given power, and that it controls chaos magic and it will bring about the end of the world. No more mutants, you know, stuff like that. I don't really explain what chaos magic is, and I have no idea, so you got me there. But I feel like as a description of what the Scarlet Witch is supposed to be, and like, hey, this is our explanation that, hey, this is why she has all this power. She's got magic, but it works a little different than like the Doctor Strange or Agatha magic, because they even explain that she doesn't need spells. That's part of the legacy, the legendary Scarlet Witch. I think that's all handled really well. And I think because Agatha takes up an interesting role here, because half the time it's like, oh, I'll teach you, right? You need somebody to guide you. Let me teach you magic. And then the other half of the time, she's just trying to take Wanda's powers. It's is she the villain of the episode? Totally. But it's a little, I just find it interesting, especially with where it ends. I think Agatha is an interesting villain in this show, because yeah, she's the villain, but I feel like her entire thing is like, she's not trying to like take over the world or anything. I don't feel like she's like, oh, I'm purposefully trying to destroy your family or anything. She's just on a quest for, power, but also knowledge. A lot of that feels like she's more interested in how it happened than like anything else. At least that's the impression I get, because she wants the chaos magic and she tries to steal the chaos magic, obviously. But she's more right. I like that she's like, oh, let me teach you magic. You're going to need somebody to teach you. You're more powerful than you have more potentially. You're more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. That stuff is all really interesting. And we'll see where they go with that. Because as someone pointed out, the original MCU release schedule, Doctor Strange was supposed to come out in May of this year. And then everything got shifted back a year. And everything's going to keep getting shifted because they're not putting Black Widow out on Disney Plus, and theaters shouldn't be open. But so let's go back to Vision. So Vision, right, he's having the fight scene with the White Vision, and they stop fighting, and it becomes it becomes a discussion, which Vision has always been like the logical. He's a robot, obviously, android, synthesoid. Whatever he is. I don't know the proper term. Cyborg? No, he's not a cyborg. That's half human, half robot. Android? I know he's not a synth. I'm playing too much Fallout. But it breaks down into this discussion because, yeah, they're the more logical ones. I mean, one of the most memorable things Vision said was in Civil War when he was like, oh, heroes inherently invite challenge, right? Our mere existence invites challenge. That's why all these great villains exist. Of course, he's wrong, because as we all know from the famous Batman the Animated Series episode Trial, villains create heroes, not as Vision suggests the other way around. Villains create heroes. Even the MCU follows that. Tony Stark, he saw people abusing his weapons, so he became a hero to stop those villains. Captain America saw the Nazis, and he became a hero to stop them. Wanda and Pietro, they thought by joining like pointed out in the last episode, they thought joining an anti-freedom terrorist organization that was once Nazis was going to stop people like Stark, who were the villains in their eyes. Right? And then Ultron comes about, and they realize that, oh, we're the bad guys, so let's join the good guys. Villains create heroes. Even freaking Vision himself was created by Ultron. Villains create heroes. Heroes don't create villains. That's going off on tangents here. They have a discussion about the ship of Theseus, right? The famous philosophical problem that if you have a ship and you take off one board at a time and replace it, once you've replaced every board, is it still the ship of Theseus? And the argument is for a computer, right, in this moment, it's a very good argument to make this case, because the White Vision is told to destroy Vision. But the White Vision himself is Vision. He's the ship of Theseus. He's got all the original boards, but he's got none of the inside stuff. Whereas the other Vision's got, he doesn't have the memories, but he's got all the inside stuff, but he's got none of the outside stuff. They're both Vision and they're not Vision. I think it's a very clever solution to this. Making it, because this could have totally just been a fight scene and we see the new Vision kick the old, right? Or the Vision we've been following kick the White Vision's ass. That could have totally been a thing, but I like where this went. It's a little more interesting. And the Vision that we've been following gives the White Vision back his memories. So he's the new, right? He's got this new directive in his head, but he's also the Vision we know, or at least he's got the memories back. And then the Vision just flies off and he's not seen for the rest of the episode. If the White Vision had been introduced like even 2 episodes ago, I probably would have a bigger problem with this. But because he was only introduced at the end of the last episode, he's not the primary focus of this one. I'm willing to let them get away with this, especially because the MCU is now so interconnected that we know this is going to come back, right? It's basically one giant TV show, and this entirety of WandaVision is just one episode of a TV show and the much larger TV show that is the MCU. So, right, this White Vision's going to come back. Of course that's going to happen, right? Obviously, we're going to see him again. Where? Who knows? But we're definitely going to see this White Vision again. And now let's go back to the comic Drake stuff like I was talking about. Go watch that video. But he mentions that one of the things that made the White Vision interesting was that even though the White Vision like had all his memories and everything, he lacked like human empathy. Like he didn't really understand what, like he was married to Wanda and he knew it. He just didn't care anymore. And I think that's where they're going with this new White Vision, is that right now he's got the memories of loving Wanda, of being killed by Wanda, being killed by Thanos, being created and everything. And he just flies off because he's now going to deal with these emotions, but he's still got his programming. And I like what they do with the eyes. That's also really nice. I just think it's an interesting place to take the character. And I think it's really interesting to end it where they end it. Like, that's not what I would have expected, admittedly. Like I said, I predicted the new one would download his brain into the old one. That technically doesn't happen, even though the old one does get his memories back, so it kind of happens. It's complicated, to say the least, because technically the new Vision doesn't have his memories. I don't know. We'll see where it goes from here, right? Who knows? But they'll have to bring it back. They have to. It's the MCU, and they've shown they can bring shit back like this all the time. So, right, the Sword is in the town, Hayward's in the town, they attack, the kids fight them back by, taking their guns, Hayward comes out, he shoots at the kids, Monica stops the bullet, the bullet, goes into her, and because she's, made of light now or something, or energy or something. Is she like Claw? No, wait, Claw was made of sound, not light. Whatever. She absorbs the bullet's energy, so they go into her, but then they just kind of flop out on the other side. The son, one of the kids, catches a bullet with magic, which and then Hayward goes to run away, and Darcy hits him with a truck. But Darcy and Monica, I mean, yes, technically Monica just did something right there, and it looked I think the visuals on this looked great, but I was kind of hoping Monica would shoot laser beams or something like that. I mean, I know it'd be I don't know, right? Because we've had all this build up with Monica, and I feel like it doesn't get as much payoff as it should. We know something is up with her, and we see it here. I guess I just wanted her to fire a laser beam. I guess I just wanted something cool to happen. But we'll get back to that. Everything's saving towards the end. So, right, while they're dealing with that, Vision's dealing with the White Vision, Wanda deals with Agatha, and she does the thing from Age of Ultron where she sneaks up behind Agatha and puts her into her mind, and she sees the nightmare of all the people she killed at the beginning of the last episode, and they rise up, and it's kind of creepy. But then I love one of the best things is you don't just bring something back. Seeing something like her doing the mind thing again is cool, but you gotta twist it, right? If you want an MCU example, Michael Pena in the second Ant-Man and the first Ant-Man movie, him telling his what is it? Is it fifth person storytelling? Is that what it's called? Yeah, fifth person storytelling is really funny, where he's oh, I know a guy who told a guy about this thing, and then they bring it back in the second Ant-Man, but it's not the same. They slightly twist it, and it's a really fucking fun. It's one of the best jokes in the movie. So this, right, we bring back the mind thing, but we twist it because Agatha's also in control of her own mind, and she's able to turn it on Wanda, and we see Wanda, Agatha's draining Wanda, and her hands turn all crepid and everything. It's really cool. Yeah, it's all, and because Agatha's now kind of given up on trying to convince her to hey, let me teach you, and is now just hey, I'm going to steal your magic. So Agatha is now, right, she's draining her hands and everything, and later on she'll drain her, because I think this whole sequence inside the mind is neat. But right, Wanda brings up the point that, hey, you're bad, you were always bad, you did this on purpose, I did it on accident, which fair enough. They get into their sky battle up in the clouds, because by this point everyone else is defeated. And at first, where I thought this was going was, there's that trope of oh, you want my power, take it. where I've been trying to think of an example all day. The only one I can think of is Kung Fu Panda 3. Where at the end, Poe gives all his power to the villain, and it's like overwhelming, and it like blows up the villain. That's kind of where I'm guessing, that's where I thought this was going. That, oh, she's going to let Agatha take her power, but it's going to be too much for Agatha to handle because it's chaos magic, right? And it's Book of the Damned and all that. And so Agatha can't control it, and she's going to explode. I thought that's where this was going. Turns out, I think what they did was better. I think it was more clever, because they have their magic duel. Wanda keeps missing. She lands a few hits, and then Agatha just starts draining her, and it looks like Wanda's out of it. And then something weird starts happening to Agatha. Wanda comes back to life, and all of a sudden the symbols start showing up on the walls of the hexagon, and you realize oh, it's the symbols from the last episode. It's a lot. It's very one of those blink and you'll miss it. Not blink and you'll miss it, but it's a fast thing, because we only got introduced to this last episode, and now we're getting payoff in this episode. That's very quick, but I think it's very clever. Because it's I thought you didn't know magic. I don't know. I picked it up from you. Because there is that whole, right? Agatha was kind of like, hey, let me be your teacher, and Wanda's learning magic now. I think the solution to defeating Agatha here was right. That's clever. Having Wanda actually learn some magic and embrace the fact that she's a witch, and she becomes the Scarlet Witch. She gets a new costume and everything. Because in the promotional art for this, and I'll have to find it, there's a picture, there's a promotional art that's like a poster, and it's Wanda and Vision standing side to side with a bunch of TVs in front of them. And on the TVs, on one TV, the TV in front of Vision, it's Vision's costume. On the TV in front of Wanda, it's Wanda's costume. But that's not Wanda's costume. And I was always I always saw that image and was like, wait, that's not, that's definitely the Vision, right? Obviously. But that's not Wanda's costume. Her costume doesn't look like that. That's because it was this costume. They revealed this in one of the posters. I mean, it just shows the chest area, right? Upper, right around here. So it doesn't give us much, but yeah, no, this was in one of the posters, for Christ's sake, which is, it's kind of no, I'm not going to use that example. Whatever. I think that's really neat that we've got a hint about this since the very beginning. To defeat Agatha, Agatha's one day you will need me. So I hope she comes back in Doctor Strange. Come on, actually give us some payoff here, because Catherine Hahn did great. Turn her into reform her. That'd be kind of cool. I know that's comics, but that'd be kind of cool. But so to defeat Agatha, Wanda uses her magic to turn Agatha into the To defeat Agatha, Wanda turns her into the nosy neighbor she was always pretending on being. And yeah, there's a thing about how, right, DC kills people. Oh, it's dark and gritty, right? Because, right, we're just gonna blow up all these buildings, and this place is abandoned, right? And Batman kills people because fuck. But in the MCU, it's just kind of oh yeah, we're gonna kill this guy. Who cares, right? The MCU does not make a big deal out of killing people. And, except for that one time in Civil War, and I guess kind of Age of Ultron. I don't know, maybe it's because I don't know because Batman doesn't kill. That's kind of his whole fucking deal. Same thing with Superman, and you kind of fucked that up because Zack Snyder does not know what he's talking about. I mean, sure, he gets the Dark Knight Returns, but fuck the Dark Knight Returns. God, I keep bitching about DC today. Whatever. But yeah, I think, right, Marvel, they've killed off a bunch of villains. All three of Iron Man's villains have died. Kind of most of Captain America's villains have died. I mean, Zemo's still alive. And Zemo was also a special case that he surprisingly didn't die, even though he tried. And I think them not killing Agatha and leaving it that, oh yeah, one day you'll need me again, I hope that comes back, because I think that's really good. I think that leads for that has potential in the future. I do think that does. We'll see if they act on, like the White Vision. We'll just have to see. So the four, Wanda, Vision, and the kids go back home. And they're just, right, because Hayward's arrested, everything else, right? Or they've got Hayward, they've got everybody else. The townspeople have fled, the military guys are knocked out. White Vision's, who knows? So they go back home, and this scene, both of them are fucking great. Her, right, they tuck the kids into bed. They tell the kids, oh, know that we love you, right? We're so proud of you. Thank you for choosing us. It's just because it's because this entire time while they're there, the border of the town is starting to shrink, right? It's starting to get closer. So you know what's coming. And it's just like, oh. And then we get the scene with Wanda and Vision. And we find out, right, Vision is the piece of the Mind Stone inside her. Vision is her sadness, but it's also her hope. Oh, it just last week I was like, oh, this is sad, but it's not doing it for me. This same thing this week. It's sad, but it's not doing it for me. But it got fucking close. That the scene between Wanda and Vision, it got close because everyone else in the MCU gets a happy ending, right? Scott and Hope and the teenager Cassie. Captain America goes back in time. Even though Iron Man fucking dies, he still had a kid. He got everything he wanted. And there's tons of Thor, I guess, worked through his depression, so yeah, he'll take it. Everyone, Clint, his family came back, right? Except for Natasha. Yeah. But more or less, with I guess the exception of Natasha, everyone else more or less got their happy ending in the MCU, except for Wanda. And Wanda has it, but she knows she can't keep it. And it's fucking heart-wrenching. Just give... That's kind of why I wanted, like, the new Vision the Vision we've been following to download his brain into the White Vision, just to kind of give Wanda that happy ending. It would have been great, but I think the scene is more than strong enough, and it technically has been built up throughout the entire episode. It's just really good. Because right in a finale, I want to cry. Because no shame. It's current year, guys. Come on. But yeah, and then she goes back to town. She's like, oh, all the people will hate me, but Monica knows the truth. And then Wanda's gonna go off and she's gonna find the truth, right? She's gonna learn magic. She's right. And that's where it ends. And we don't get the Please Stand By this time. And there are 2 post-credit scenes. So the first one is Monica, and she's talking to Wu about, like, oh, how they're doing cleanup and everything. And then she's told to debrief in the theater. And we find out the person who told her to debrief is a Skrull. And that, hey, an old friend of your mom wants to see you up there. I'm assuming it's talking about Nick Fury, obviously. But I'm assuming, because again, back when this was supposed to release, Captain Marvel 2 was a lot closer to release. So yeah, I'm assuming that's what this was building to. And it's gonna suck to have to wait another year plus to get payoff for this. But yeah, I still kind of wish we had a little more of Monica in this finale. Because again, we've had her build up since the second episode, and I wish there was a little more. I wish there was a little more. I wish she had actually, like, taken on Hayward. I think that would have been a little more interesting. Because, we've got all these different sides doing different things. Yeah, I don't know. Or even just have her fight fake Pietro. Have her use her new energy powers to like slow down the fake Pietro by like stealing all of his speed energy. Like, give them an actual fight scene. I don't know. If I had one problem with the episode, it's that I wish Monica did a little, that I wish they had given her a little more to do. Right? And I feel like, yeah, the thing with fake Pietro is right there. It's, but nope, boner. And then our second post-credit scene is, right, we're soaring over the valley, right? It's beautiful. There's a little house. Wanda's there. She gets up. She makes tea. Camera keeps going into the back room. There's a second Wanda in the full Scarlet Witch attire reading the Book of the Damned, and she hears a voice in her head from one of her kids, presumably the one who has magic like her. And that's where the episode ends. That's our tie-in to we didn't get no Doctor Strange, no Captain Marvel, and I'm fine with that. I feel like this tie-in tells us more of what Multiverse of Madness is going to be. That she's teaming up with, and I hope that this new Doctor Strange gives her a lot to do. That it's Doctor Strange, Wong, and Wanda as like a 3-man band traveling the multiverse, dealing with darkness, because Wanda's trying to save her kids and they're off doing, I don't know, fighting like Nightmare or the Bee Guy or the guy from the first movie, I guess. You know, the guy that they tease at the end of the first Doctor Strange that we still have gotten nothing for. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Again, these are all serialized movies. It takes time. That's I think our big teaser, that we're going to get something big in the Multiverse of Madness, and I hope Wanda has a more prominent role. Right? It's not like the Doctor Strange cameo in the second Thor or in the third Thor, that this is something more prominent. Like she's not the main character, but she's in their like 3-man band as they take on the multiverse. That's where I hope this scene is leaving. Because I know Comic Drake, I know from his video that the kids eventually do get brought back as superheroes, and it's like the demon babies, but hey, in like an alternate reality, and now they're like grown up, and yeah, it was eventually confirmed that they are Wanda and Vision's kids. So I'm assuming we're gonna get something like that, and they can become their own heroes, and yada yada yada. And then we get another season, or we just get a Vision show where just adapting Tom King's Vision comic. I mean, that could be that, for all we know, that could be where the White Vision is going. He wants to understand humanity more because he thinks he no longer gets them. So we're just directly adapting the Tom King comic. I mean, admittedly, you'd have to do a lot more to adapt it. I need to finish that. I started it like years ago. Oh God, probably before the wedding. And then the wedding pissed me off so fucking much. That and Heroes in Crisis. So, what are my final thoughts on WandaVision as a whole? It was very different, right? We know, a lot of people are like, oh, we know exactly what the MCU is like. Right? If you say like, oh, this is a Marvel movie, you know what you're getting, right? This felt very different. Admittedly, that's because it was playing off of a lot of sitcoms. And there were definitely some moments, definitely kind of in this final episode, where it was like, oh yeah, we're still in Marvel territory. But a lot of this felt different. It felt unique. This felt like, not like a risk, I would say, because this is still Marvel. Even though, again, they're just parodying sitcoms. I had a lot of fun with this. I think this is a very special thing. The one thing I do think is, like, normally when I finish up these things, like when I go and see like a MCU movie, I'm like, oh, I could watch that again. Like right after I step out of the theater, I'm like, yeah, I could watch that again. This, I'll admit, part of it is the novelty and, the whole situation in the world right now that makes it so special. And I'm sure it will hold up. But I don't really have a desire to like watch it again. I mean, I probably will sooner rather than later. But yeah, I feel like now that we know everything that's going on, it's going to be less special on subsequent rewatches. And I do kind of worry about that. But for the moment, it was interesting enough that it fucking brought this channel back, for Christ's sake. And this channel has been dead for almost 2 years now. Okay, yes, I know I put up a bunch of stuff here and there, but you know what I mean. I just think this is a very interesting project, and there is so much good done here. Just a lot of interesting decisions, a lot of cool moments, a lot just, and then the ending is, and the whole thing being grief, right? The villain was grief all along, and maybe that will help. Like the fact that, oh, now that we know what it is, there's no speculation. We don't have to worry about any of that. Would I say it's one of my favorite MCU things? Like if I pulled up my MCU in review list, where would it rank? Probably top 10. I don't know. I don't have the list on me and I'm not going to pull it up because fuck. I'll leave that to kind of funny. Week after that is Falcon and Winter Soldier. And that's looking great. That's only 6 episodes, but I'm pretty sure the episodes are longer. They're like 45 minutes or something like that. At least that's what I heard. I'm also glad, like, a lot of people were like, oh, come on, let's get an hour episode of WandaVision this week. We got like 49 minutes. That's including credits and all that. They more or less wrapped everything up. But you also have to accept that, hey, the Marvel Universe is this giant serialization thing. Nothing stand on it. Nothing, like, there was a time where, yeah, movies, like, stood on their own. But that's not really the case. The last one of those was, I mean, yes, Captain Marvel's not that old, but no, not really. Even Captain Marvel was, like, setting up to, like, greater things. I mean, I guess it stands on its own. The last one before that was, I guess, Doctor Strange. And I mean, you can watch anything in any order. Patrick H. Willems once did a fun video where he took his parents to see Endgame, even though they only seen like 2 MCU movies. Whatever happens, but definitely everything is connected. And based on the ending, well, yes, we do get a satisfying ending. There are the White Vision, like Monica, where I'm like, yeah, those are clearly building to greater things. And then also sometime in the next few weeks, we have Justice League. And yeah, I think we're going to talk about that. Who cares? Who cares? The channel's dead. I can do whatever I want. Who cares? And it's just nice to have the MCU back. But with that, I hope you all enjoyed. Stay tuned for more. Until next time, peace.